Hello, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Back again for Sunday, February 20th, 2022. I am your host, Lance Brock. Thank you for tuning in, everybody, wherever you are listening tonight. Hopefully on Spreaker, or you could be listening to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, anywhere else you can listen to podcasts. But hopefully you're listening to on Spreaker, but anywhere is fine. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk about the two wrestling shows that took place yesterday. First, yesterday afternoon, WWE Elimination Chamber, and then last night, Impact Wrestling No Surrender. That is all right here, right now on 360 Wrestling Fanatic. So let's get into it. And we're going to start off by talking about WWE's Elimination Chamber, which took place from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and the commentators are Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and Corey Graves. First, we have the kickoff show, and it is the Miz Defeating Rey Mysterio. And then we start off the main card live on Peacock here in the United States and the WWE Network everywhere else in the world. And I was surprised they started off pretty big here with the Universal Championship match, Roman Reigns and Goldberg. Of course, this one was only 6 minutes, kept short, as expected. Roman Reigns retains, choking out Goldberg. So now we know Roman Reigns will be defending the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. Next up is the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Doudrop, Liv Morgan, Nikki ASH, and Rhea Ripley. This one goes only 15 minutes, 45 seconds. But it's not a bad match at all. And it is Bianca Belair getting the win. It was down to her and Alexa Bliss getting, so she will get the shot at the Smackdown Women, or the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. And we will find out who the Raw Women's Champion is a little bit later on. Next up, we have Women's Tag Team action. Naomi and Ronda Rousey taking on Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville. And due to a stipulation that was made on the last episode of Smackdown, Ronda Rousey had to have one arm tied behind her back, but she is still able to make Sonya Deville submit with the armbar. 9 minutes, 15 seconds. Next up, Drew McIntyre defeats Madcap Moss in a Falls Count Anywhere match at 9 minutes. And there was a scary bump in this one. Madcap Moss, he landed right on his head, and he did not land good at all. That looked scary, to be honest. Hopefully Moss is okay. I haven't heard anything just yet about his condition, but hopefully he's doing okay. He did finish the match, so hopefully it's not too serious. Next up on the Elimination Chamber, the Raw Women's Championship, Becky Lynch taking on WWE Hall of Famer Lita. Becky Lynch retains 12 minutes, 15 seconds, and I have to admit I was pleasantly surprised by this one. Wasn't really sure what to expect from Lita, but I thought she worked a really good match here, both of them actually, but was kind of pleasantly surprised by Lita. Not that I thought she was gonna have a bad match or anything, but she had a better match than I expected her to have. Next is supposed to be the match for the Smackdown Tag Team Championships, but the Usos attack the Viking Raiders, and they are not able to compete in the match. What I've seen is that match was eliminated due to the time. So now it is time for the main event of the evening, the men's Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. Bobby Lashley defending against the phenomenal AJ Styles, Austin Theory, the original Bro, Riddle, and Seth freaking Rollins, and Brock Lesnar. This one kind of kept a little short too, 14 minutes, 55 seconds. And unfortunately, what happens here, Seth Rollins power bombs Austin Theory through the chamber, knocks Bobby Lashley out, and they said he has to undergo concussion protocol, and he's out of the match. And then when it's time for Lashley to come out, Lesnar was going to be the last one, but he just comes out, destroys everybody, eliminates everybody, wins the match, and new WWE Champion Brock Lesnar, unfortunately. I've said on the podcast before, kind of tired of Brock Lesnar by now, but I'm not surprised that they did put the title on him. Was expecting it, actually, because they already teased the champion versus champion match at WrestleMania. And the reason, what I've heard so far, is that Lashley was actually injured in the match against Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, shoulder injury. And now that I think about it, he hasn't wrestled on Raw since then, and might have to have shoulder surgery, could be out 4 months, so unfortunately going to miss WrestleMania. So now it's set for WrestleMania 38, champion versus champion, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and I really hope that they have Roman Reigns go over. This is a great reign, no pun intended, I think, that Roman Reigns has had with the Universal Championship. I hope they keep having him look strong, keep taking on all comers, all challengers, and successfully defending the title against them. So that was WWE Elimination Chamber. I thought it was a pretty good show. I know a lot of people have problems with them even doing the shows in Saudi Arabia. And I can see why they do, but I just try to focus on the wrestling itself. And I thought all the matches yesterday, the ones that happened anyway, were all pretty good. And like I said, Becky Lynch and Lita, I thought put on a great match. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. While live though, I was still working, so I was able to watch a little bit on my phone while I was, but then I caught the rest on Peacock at home. And now let's move on to Saturday night. Impact Wrestling, this month's Impact Plus special, No Surrender, live from New Orleans, Louisiana. The commentators are Tom Phillips. There I go again. I can't remember his, I know it's his real name, but, I can't think of it, but the former Tom Phillips in WWE and their drama king Matt Raywalt, D'Lo Brown's still out from being attacked by Honor No More on an episode of Impact Wrestling. And we kick things off with an X Division #1 contenders match representing the Bullet Club, Chris Bay taking on Ace Austin, Jake Something, and Speedball Mike Bailey. Very good match. And I like how Impact, even going back to the TNA days, they did that a lot. A lot of times they started shows off with multi-man X Division matches like this one, just to have a real exciting match to kick things off with some fast-paced action. And Jake Something pins Ace Austin to get the win, 7 minutes, 8 seconds. Now we'll be challenging Trey Miguel in the future for the X Division Championship. Our second match, Jonah takes on Black Taurus. This one, I've came up with this on my own, but since the commentators, when there's big guys, they say the battle of the hosses. So, since there's a couple of hosses, can call this a bonanza match. And you got Jonah taking on Black Taurus. Jonah gets the win, 8 minutes, 8 seconds. Next up, Eric Young taking on Switchblade Jay White. Another pretty good match here. Jay White gets the win, 12 minutes, 12 seconds. And this is not the last we will see of Jay White on this show. Next up at No Surrender is the One Champ Challenge with Deonna Purrazzo. And we see the Ring of Honor Women's Championship defended against Miranda Alizé. And I was excited to see this matchup. Big fan of both Deonna Purrazzo and Miranda Alizé. I have talked about that many times here on the podcast. And these two delivered. I thought they had a pretty good match. Purrazzo retained via submission with a Venus de Milo, 7 minutes, 24 seconds. I am definitely glad to see Miranda Alizé in Impact Wrestling. Definitely want to see her on TV now that Ring of Honor is on its hiatus. The Impact Wrestling Digital Media World Championship, as Matt Cardona calls it. Cardona defending against Jordan Grace. This one, Cardona goes to use a chair, but Grace hits him with a low blow, causing a disqualification at 8 minutes, 0 seconds. Cardona retains his championship because of the DQ. The Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Championships are on the line next. the Gorillas of Destiny, taking on the Good Brothers. And pretty good tag team match here. We see Jay White make his way to the ring, and he attacks Tama Tonga, and Luke Gallows gets the pin. Good Brothers get the win, and they at 12 minutes 21 seconds, and then they celebrate in the middle of the ring, Too Sweet, with Jay White and Chris Bay. The Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship is on the line next. Mickie James taking on Tasha Steelz, the winner of the first Knockouts Ultimate X match back at Hard to Kill. It's a good match here. Very impressed with Tasha Steelz. And it is Mickie James retaining to still be Impact Knockouts champion. 10 minutes 25 seconds. The Impact Wrestling World Championship is now on the line. Moose versus W Morrissey. These two have a good solid match. Moose retains at 12 minutes 14 seconds. And now it is time for the main event of the evening of No Surrender. And we have Honor No More, Kenny King, Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, Vincent, and PCO taking on Team Impact. Rhino, Rich Swann, Willie Mack, Steve Macklin, and Chris Sabin. Earlier in the night, Eddie Edwards was attacked in the back and would not be able to compete in the match. This one's crazy, out of control, lots of brawling all over the ring, all over the ringside area. And then, once again, to finish, these things break loose. And we see Eddie Edwards make his way to the ring with Kenny the Kendo Stick. Just when Rhino is about to gore Maria Kanellis. But it is Eddie Edwards using the Kendo Stick on Rhino, turning his back on Impact Wrestling, joining Honor No More. Honor No More picks up the win here after the assist from Eddie Edwards. It is definitely interesting to see how this continues. The stipulation of the match was if Honor No More lost to Team Impact, they would have to leave Impact Wrestling. But if they won, which they did, they get to stay. So far, I'm enjoying the storyline. I guess you can call it our Ring of Honor invasion, kind of, with Honor No More invading Impact Wrestling. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens next. As of right now, Super Card of Honor is still scheduled to take place, I'm guessing, WrestleMania weekend. Hopefully things work out for Ring of Honor, but with a lot of Ring of Honor wrestlers showing up in other promotions, who knows what's going to happen. And to touch on some news again real quick before I wrap this podcast up, Cody Rhodes. I saw somewhere online about supposedly he was seen in an airport going to Saudi Arabia, so that started rumors about him showing up at the Elimination Chamber. That obviously did not happen, but the rumors are still going about him going to WWE very, very soon, as possible, maybe tomorrow for Raw. There's talks about him being at WrestleMania, getting a big push. Who knows if that will happen if he does go back to WWE. And that's all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Once again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for listening, and hope to be back soon with another episode, and maybe some new episodes of the other podcasts as well. Watch with me Unleashed, off Thursday, the other ones. If you have any questions, comments, 360 Wrestling Podcasts at gmail.com is the email. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also, if you want to support 360 Wrestling Podcasts, make all the podcasts even better than they are, you can support anchor.fm/360-wrestling-podcast 360. I always put it in the description, so you can check that out if you can. But if not, it's fine. Hope everyone listening enjoys the podcast. Even if nobody does listen, I just like doing them anyway. And that is all for today. Hope to be back soon. Until the next episode, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.